Hello, everyone. I'm Chaz Bryant for Carolina Warrior TV. Joined by John Moorehouse of MMA-Insider. This is a big thing we got going around. This is like an Oscar nominee morning for some guys. This is it. I should be wearing a tux. We should be wearing tuxes right now, John.
No. Maybe tuxedo t-shirts. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, that would have been good. We should have had more coordination with this, but I'm excited about this. I'm excited to be a part of this. This is the MMA-Insider MMA 2014 Awards Nominee Special.
Indeed. First time we've done it as a video, so that's exciting.
Absolutely. I guess clarification before we get this thing started here. These nominees have been voted by the writers and contributors of MMA-Insider. I'm a contributor. There's how many numbers of people put into this, John?
I would say there's probably about a dozen of us that contributed to it in some shape, form, or fashion. The way we try to qualify it and narrow it down, I mean, we covered like 85 events this year, which is a ton. But even then, there's stuff that kind of can fall through the cracks. So the way that I kind of try to limit things is it has to be somebody that we've either seen fight in person or interviewed or written about in an written interview at some point during the year. So that's kind of how we had to let. So there's some people that fight for some promotions that we cover that we just didn't happen to see them fight or we didn't interview them. And so that's why some people who maybe deserve to be nominated aren't, because that's the fairest way I could think of to limit it.
Absolutely. We all came in with our sort of classification standards. Me personally, this is not a whole body of work. This is not a Lifetime Achievement Award. This is what the fighters do in the calendar year of 2014. I had to see that.
Yes.
For me, I had to see them fight, or they had to fight 3 times, because usually if you fight 3 times, you're looking for a fourth, or something falls through the cracks. If you're looking for that fourth fight, either promotion gets canceled or a fighter drops out. So I wanted to see them make sure they fought 3 times, and then quite simply the can factor. After looking at the record, I wasn't going to vault somebody up there and comparing them with records, and maybe this guy fought a bunch of cans, to be terribly honest. So that's sort of my classification. I had to see him, do an interview with them. They had to fight at least 3 times, unless there's some sort of special thing in there. And again, you got to look at their record. So is that just about it?
Yeah, and the way I've always defined the fighter awards is just like who accomplished the most in the year. It's not about who the best fighter is. It's not about who the best prospect is. It's not about who's the most popular, although this year it is a fan vote that will solely determine the awards for the first time ever. So I guess if you're really popular, you've got a good chance. Although there's not going to be any ballot stuffing because we're going to limit it to like one IP or one person, one vote. So you're going to have to really get the word out. But to me, it's who, like last year, Tank Scoggins won our Pro Fighter of the Year because I thought without question he accomplished the most last year, going from regional circuit of warfare and whatnot to UFC to winning his UFC debut. So that's the way that I've always tried to define it, as who accomplished the most. And that does favor fighters who fight a lot, fighters who win clearly, and for amateurs, fighters who are winning titles and making moves.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and make some moves right on these nominees, and we'll start with Rookie of the Year. And the nominees are Shane Wicks, who went undefeated this year, 4-0, and then Michael Sapp's winning streak. He's the Apex Heavyweight Champion and a PFC top contender. You got Wayne Martin out here in the Carolinas. He's 4-0, including 3 wins by KO and TKO. You got Eljon Kaindu.
Eljon Kaindu.
There you go. He's at 4-1 this year. Went up
from Kentucky.
Yeah, went up on weight at short notice. Handled Kyle Jones, his first loss, with a win in the 3FC. He also has a Tennessee State lightweight title. You have Corey Browning at 5-1 this year. He has he won his first 4 fights. in a Valor Grand Prix. 3 of the 4 wins went against unbeaten opponents and finished all 4 of them. Moving on to Dalton Fox, who's at 4-1 and beat Browning. Cody Tucker, he's at 4-0, a win in the V3. He's the 205 title finisher, title holder with 4 finishes. Moving on to Nick Young at 4-0, submitted all 4 of his foes in either the first or the second round. Logan Woods also makes a list. He's 3-0 in MMA, 2-0 in kickboxing. Took 1 fight on a 2 hours notice. Beat Kim Aki. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but apparently he's good enough to make the list. He was strong. He was super tough. Won the 3FC heavyweight title this year. Zach Rhodes also makes the list. He's at 5-1, all wins by KO or submission. He beat Matt Probin this summer. And Joey Millen at 4-0 in MMA. All his wins are in the first or second round. Also won a kickboxing fight in less than a 24 hours notice. Anybody else I leave off the list?
That does it. Fox is actually 5-1. I submitted incorrect information as you were doing your graphics, and I think Woods is actually 4-0. But we'll have all the correct information. In addition to doing the video, I'll probably do an article kind of listing all this, listing the accomplishments and whatnot. I think every year when we've done this, there's been a category that I think is really stacked and really hard to call, and I actually think Rookie of the Year this year is the most difficult category, because it just seemed like there's a lot of good candidates out there and some really good fighters, some really good prospects that were left off the list because I wanted to limit it to 10 people.
Sure. Who do you got in this category?
Like I said, it's tough.
It is.
I think there's several guys that have a case for it. Joey Mullen has been super impressive every time I've seen him, every time he's come out there. Shane Wicks is just a monster. He's a guy who was a high school and college football star and has looked really sharp. He beat Michael Snap, which is not easy to do. It sounds weird, but in my mind, the Rookie of the Year is Corey Browning. Even though he lost to Dalton Fox, he won his first 4 fights, all by stoppage, all against guys who were more experienced, had winning records. 3 of the 4 were undefeated. Won a pro contract with Valor, which he's going to make his pro debut January 31st up here in Pigeon Forge. So even though Dalton Fox beat him, yes, I really think Corey Browning, the whole body of work, is my choice for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Carolina guys going my way. You got Martin up there at 4-0. Then you got Zach Rhodes at 5-1. I'm sort of torn. I know Zach Rhodes, I believe, has a title shot beginning of next year, and I think Wayne Martin might be. I think he's on the next Fight Lab card coming up in January, and I think he might be in contention for a title shot. That's just my guess. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Zach Rhodes. He beat pretty tough Matt Probin. I traded with him a couple of times. Zach, I think, is certainly on his way to doing some big things here in Carolina. So I'm going to go ahead and give my Rookie of the Year vote to Zach Rhodes. That may change, Zach, so don't get yourself all happy and dancing up there. But I'm going to go ahead and give him that nod for Rookie of the Year. Are we ready to shove on to Comeback Fighter of the Year?
Yeah, the way we define this, it's kind of 2 awards kind of smushed together in one category, either to the fighter who had the best turnaround in his results compared to previous performance, or made the best comeback from a layoff of at least 1 calendar year. So if you fought on like June 1st of 2013 and you didn't fight again until like June 2nd of this year, and you did really well, you'd be eligible for this award. And this is like where you get kind of some of those inspirational stories and that kind of thing. And there are definitely several of those on this list.
Absolutely. Now here goes the amazing graphic that I made, and it shows the nominees right now. We have Molly Dupree's made a comeback in her final fight after being diagnosed with MS. She won by stoppage over an undefeated opponent. We got Mark Woodbury at 2-0 after not fighting since 2012, won the PDPD title, but was murdered this summer. Grady Hurley, a pro fighter, come back from 12 years absence to go 2-0 with a win in Legacy FC. Dre Miley, who was blind in one eye, fought for the first time since 2012, won the PD title. Got Rodney Jordan, who went 4-1 this year after entering 2014 with a 0-3 record. Got Will Bullock, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I apologize if I'm not. Bullock, who's 5-1 this year, won the title after going 1-4 last year. And Chris Hall, who fought for the first time since 2012, went 2-0 with a win in the V3 145 title.
Nick Gertz, who came into the year 2-2 as an amateur, and won his final 4 amateur fights, and then went pro and won his first 2 pro fights.
Okay.
So that was a pretty impressive body work there. And also Matt Backus, who hadn't fought since, I believe, 2012, came in, won the 3FC middleweight title in his last amateur fight, and then won his pro debut by KO really impressively there at Ruckus in the Cage up in West Virginia.
All right, John, with that all being said, who is your pick for this comeback of the year?
I think, I don't know, it's tough. I mean, I think you got a lot of guys who and gals who have some strong claims to winning this. I was impressed with Will Bolduc, who went from 1-4 a year ago to 5-1, winning the Valor flyweight title. Dre Miley, who is legally blind in one eye, comes back, wins his first title in MMA. I'm sure Mark Woodbury is going to get a lot of votes and be a sentimental favorite after his unfortunate what happened to him. But for me, I think Grady Hurley and what he did, when you go from not fighting for 12 years and you're able to come back and you're able to win on Legacy, which is a pretty big promotion, I think that's impressive. That's like movie stuff right there. So to me, just looking at each candidate, just what they accomplished, just on paper, that's the one that stands out to me.
Yeah. I like Rodney Jordan's story. I saw him come up a couple years ago, a youngster. He's out there training with Michael Allen. He's had some tough fights, before this year, and coming back and now going 4-1. We'll see what he's able to do. He's balancing out his challenges at school and everything. But I like his story at 4-1. Again, this is a good sentimental stories going on here. These comeback stories of the year. So I like to see how they all pan out. But I'm going to go ahead and give mine just to Rodney Jordan because he lives pretty close.
There you go. And he's going to have that the Fight Lab army behind him too on the voting. So I think he's definitely got a really good chance at winning it because of that.
And now, John, let's take a look at the amateur fights of the year.
Yeah, basically these are the best amateur fights that a member of our staff witnessed in person in 2014. Another pretty stacked category. You got Kyle Jones versus Elajon Kandu from 3FC 21 up here in Tennessee. Eric Rojo versus Buck Yates from Valor 17, another fight up this way. Israel Encarnacion versus Justin Flaherty. Our Pennsylvania man Adam Chris nominated this one for XFE 45. Shane Wicks versus Michael Snap from Apex 3. Robert Frettenborough versus Brandon Rhodes from Strike Hard 34 down in Alabama. Kiara West versus Nick Baker from Evolution 2. Miles Williams versus James Settle from TOC 11 in Virginia. Ivan Grijalva versus Trey Singleton from Fight Lab. I believe it was Fight Lab 35.
Yeah, I think so.
Bart Weeks versus Jeremiah Scott from Warfare earlier this year. And the ladies are represented Ashley Samples versus Caitlin Dykus from Valor 15. So there are several East Tennessee area fights nominated, which I think just reflects kind of the demographics of the site right now. That the East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia area is definitely a core of the audience. Those are the events we cover the most because, frankly, that's where most of our contributors live. So a lot of those are on the list. You got some Fight Lab there. We got, you got like 5 or 6 different states represented on this list this year, which I think is the biggest geographical reach we've had in Amateur Fight of the Year ever.
Absolutely, and I'm looking at these 2 Carolina fights: Ivan Grijalva versus Trey Singleton and Bart Weeks versus Jeremiah Scott. The Ivan and Trey fight was terrific to me, just seeing these two guys go back and forth. But I'm going to go ahead and give it to Bart Weeks versus Jeremiah Scott. I've seen Jeremiah Scott fight a couple times, and that was a good war down there.
I've been trying to track down video on all these, and when you go to MMA-Insider.com to vote, we're going to have the videos from all of these fights. I'm going to put together a playlist on our YouTube channel, and you can watch them. Bart Weeks and Jeremiah Scott was the best amateur fight of the year, I think. So that gets my vote as well. I mean, split decision. Bart Weeks, super tough. Jeremiah Scott, tough customer as well. I believe it was split decision. So, and I also think maybe some of these Tennessee and Virginia fights are kind of sort of going to take votes away from each other. So I really think not only was it a good fight, but from a voting perspective, I think Bart Weeks and Jeremiah Scott is going to take it.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to Pro Fight of the Year. And I'll take it from here because we have Elder Ramos versus Cody Wilson, Fight Lab 42. Adam Townsend versus Nate Landwehr in 3FC20. Got Wade Johnson versus Craig Johnson. The Johnson fight that would be in V3 back in January. Got a Scott Holton versus George Shepard in PFC9. Justin Fisher versus Daniel Crockett in 3FC21. Josh Carter versus Zach Hicks in 3FC21. Keith Richardson versus Charles Rosa in Fight Lab, I believe 38. I can't remember off the top of my head. Jordan Rinaldi versus Joe Elmore in the past USFFC fight. Tongue twisters abound, but I'm going to go ahead and take the lead and say the fight that I most enjoyed, because it's a tie between the Adam Townsend Landwehr fight and probably the best first round of all of Fight Lab history with Keith Richardson versus Charles Rosa. You know what? Roommate aside, who's probably in the next room, I'm going to go ahead and give the Adam Townsend versus Nate Landwehr fight my nod, just because, if I'm going to fight somebody, I'd rather do it in the living room.
This is without question the best fight that I've seen in the 3.5 years doing this website, covering MMA. The energy was incredible. The 5-round, just literally a war for the title. It occurred early this year, rather. If it doesn't win, I will be shocked. Adam Townsend, Nate Landwehr. It's honestly, I came home and thought I should just go on and order the class. It was that good, and that's just how it's been. It's been an incredible fight, and I think it's the clear choice, and I think it's going to win.
Maybe trying to pull out a submission here. Just looking at those names of the guys who are Bellator, World Series, maybe even UFC quality guys on that list. That just again shows a remarkable skill level here in the South of the United States. Yes, sir.
Wow. And I want to say something about the Fight of the Year awards, because those seem to be the ones that get the most contention. There's a reason why I do the awards the way we do, where they cover our whole readership, for lack of a better term. I don't break it down by state. There's not a Fighter of the Year in South Carolina, and a Fighter of the Year in Tennessee, and a Fighter of the Year in Virginia. To me, that just waters it down. I think the reason people care about our awards, and this is the 3rd year we've done it, is because they mean something. We've made them a big deal because it's hard to be nominated. And it's especially hard for Fight of the Year, and it's really difficult for Amateur Fight of the Year when you figure that we watch, I don't know, we might see 1,000 amateur fights in a single year. And then we're trying to cut it down to 10. And I don't ever want to go to more than 10 because I feel like 10's a good number. And if you have a bunch of nominees, I just feel like it waters it down. So if you're in a fight that didn't get nominated, it doesn't mean your fight wasn't good. It doesn't mean your fight wasn't exciting. And it's very difficult. Those are the most difficult categories every year to pick, especially amateur fight, because there are so many. So that's just a message I'm going to say in the intent to stave off all people who are inevitably going to complain that their fight wasn't nominated. So if you're watching this and your fight wasn't nominated, you thought it should be nominated, and it's not nominated, I'm sorry. We had to pick 10. Better luck next year.
Yeah, it was so hard to scratching my head of thinking, man, this fight was good. This fight was good. Well, this fight was good, but it wasn't technically good. Well, this fight was good because it was entertaining because X, Y, and Z. So, you know, me throwing my 2 cents in there also, it was a very tough year of nominating some of these guys. And we had fights that didn't even, you know, make the list. Fighters that didn't even make the list. You know, so you guys did an outstanding job this year in fighting. So I think we're going to move now on to Amateur Fighter of the Year. And John, if you want to go ahead and take it away with that one.
Yeah. As I've said at the start of this, this is our choices for the fighter who is amateur, who accomplished the most as an amateur in 2014. And Chaz, I think we have probably the heaviest Carolina presence in this category. We've got Kyle Causey. He's from down in Alabama. He actually won the strike card titles in the 35 and 45 divisions this year and defeated a guy who hadn't even been past the undefeated guy who hadn't even seen the third round ever to win one of those belts. Corey Browning, who was one of our Rookie of the Year nominees, he won that Grand Prix, as I mentioned, beat a bunch of tough guys in the process, finished them all. Meshack Adams, who I believe won 4 different championships this year, including 2 titles for Warfare and a Fight Lab title, and I think Section 8. So he was very busy. Marcus Levester won titles for King of Jacksonville and Primus, closed out his amateur year in really fine fashion, and is now training out at Syndicate in Las Vegas, getting ready for his pro debut. Alexa Connors, who won the Conflict 35 and 45 female titles, finished everybody she fought this year. Pretty impressive. Eva Johnson, yes, she only had 2 amateur fights, but the last one was against Amy Coleman. And if you're from my area up in East Tennessee, you know how tough Amy Coleman is. Eva came in, you know, smaller fighter, and actually handed Amy her first loss ever to win the Tennessee state title. That, to me, and some of our contributors felt that was enough to put her on the list. Gage Stanley went undefeated, is undefeated overall. And won 2 titles, one for TOC and one for Apex. And Annie D. Crescente, who is from Georgia but has fought really all over the Southeast, really finished the year strong. She won her last 4 fights, including 2 title wins separated by 7 days. So that is a heavy women's MMA influence on the amateur fighter category this year.
Well, that's very, very good. I like that. I'm going to go ahead and make my pick, and it's going to Meshack Adams. I've seen him fight a number of times, and if you've seen the picture of him holding his title belts, that is an impressive win, impressive 2014 run for him. Like you said, I've seen him the Fight Lab title, seen him be the Section 8 title. He fought, I believe, about maybe a month and a half ago down in Myrtle Beach with the Warfare, picked up a title over a tough younger baby Scoggins down there, and just absolutely, I think 2014 for him, I think this is his year.
I agree 100%. I think if you look at each of these candidates on paper and what they accomplished, nobody did more than Meshack Adams. And if you're out there, if you want to vote for your buddy or your teammate, which I know people are going to do, you know, that's fine. But if you want to really look at each candidate and what they accomplished, look at the people that Meshack Adams fought.
Oh, yeah.
There aren't any cans in that. I'm pretty sure they all had winning records, all championship fights. He went undefeated this year, made Warfare history. To me, he would be my choice when I fill out my ballot, which is just going to be one vote among thousands. It's going to be the guy I vote for. Clearly, I think Amateur Fighter of the Year, and well earned, and hard earned at that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's, like you said, if you're going to look at this breakdown, I think Meshack Adams gets it, to me, hands down. But again, it's fan voting, and there's no problem with that. But please look at that record, look at his videos, and I think he's the guy right there. John, the last drum roll, the final category in this nomination special, it is Pro Fighter of the Year. And if you want to go ahead and, since you're the editor, go ahead and do the honors for us.
Owen St. Preux from Knoxville, UFC fighter, top 10 ranked light heavyweight in UFC. Charles Rosa, who was undefeated when he signed with UFC. People who read our website may remember him from Fight Lab, where he went and defeated Keith Richardson. Cody Wilson, another Carolinas guy for you, Chaz. I believe he went undefeated this year. And really, to me, is probably the top unsigned prospect in that Carolinas area right now. Paul Felder, Northeast guy, some people may be scratching their heads, but we did get to interview him. He finished Craig Johnson, which if you're familiar with the scene in Tennessee, you know how tough Craig is. Went on to sign with UFC and won his UFC debut. Jason Suarez, he is the current 5-time featherweight champion. Went undefeated this year, submitted everybody that he faced. Another guy who's really got a bright future. Adam Primetime Townsend, he had that loss to Landwehr first of the year, and what I think is pro fight of the year. Turned it around with 5 straight wins, all in the first or second round. Luke Sanders out of Nashville, he's the current RFA champion in their bantamweight division. Won all 3 fights this year, and we've all seen what happened. You know, when you're RFA champion, it seems like it's almost inevitable. You're going to go to the UFC. Ben Brewer, who's probably one of the busiest pros out there, went 5-1 this year. Got a big KO win at Bellator. Really dominated Micah Miller down there Conflict, and I believe has signed a contract with Titan. And Jaleel Willis, who is that Memphis, West Tennessee, Mississippi area, who went pro in all 4 of his fights this year. My pick is St. Preux, without a doubt.
Okay.
I think there should be a rule. If you can go and knock out Shogun in Brazil in the first round, I think you should win it. I mean, he had that one loss in the UFC, yes, but I think he went 3-1 in the UFC this year. 2 main events, beat Shogun in Brazil on short notice. To me, that's the most impressive thing that any pro that we covered this year did. Charles Rosa, super impressive. Adam Townsend, super popular. But to me, OSP is the clear choice. Now, he's going to have the fans come out and vote it, but that's who I would vote for.
Gotcha. I'm sort of going to keep it more local to the guys that I've seen. So it's in between Rosa and Cody Wilson. I'm not going to go, he may be the underdog. I'm going to go with Cody Wilson. I've been up there for most of his fights here in 2014. I think the guy is one of those unsigned talents as of right now. Never know what 2015 holds for him, but I want to see him make it up there to somebody next year. So I'm going to say between Rosa and Wilson, I'm going to go with Cody Wilson.
All right. Now, you watch this video on January 1st. The voting should be up on the site. You go, you fill out the ballot, and you can cast your votes. Again, it is one person, one vote. So you're not going to have the chance just unlimited voting and just keep refreshing and voting again and again and again. Assuming everything works right, that's the goal. And we'll see how it happens. So if you want to win this year, you're really going to have to beat the Bushes and get everybody coming to vote and support you. It is entirely fan vote this year. There is no staff vote component. Whoever wins the fan vote in each category will win the award, and we'll be announcing those awards sometime in the middle of January.
Is there some fabulous trophy that they win?
Yeah, I'll go. There's a varsity trophies here in Kingsport, and I'll get there'll be some plaques and some trophies. The fighter of the year the last couple of years has gotten like the little MMA fighter statue dude. If you ever seen him, he's bald, he's like this, he's gritting his teeth. But I'm thinking, or maybe something different for the fighters of the year this year. I don't want to tip my hand on that yet. I'm still kind of in some negotiations, but each winner will get something. It's got their name on it, which I think is nice because a lot of times you get these plaques and whatnot, and fighters have all these awards. None of them have their name on them. So it's something with your name on it. Fighter of the year, fight of the year. Nice little keepsake for the winners as part of their career.
And make sure they start practicing their acceptance speeches too. That's what I want.
Yes.
Weeping. And
we're going to have the wrap this up orchestra all queued up. So if you go too long, we're going to cut you off.
Yeah, because it's lunchtime for us here, and I want to go eat. So fan voting starts pretty soon. Get out there and vote for your favorite guys. John, thank you very much. Thank you for letting me be a part of this year.
Thank you, man. I really, it's been a big year for us at the site. We've really grown a lot. I credit you with a good percentage of that. The way we work together, I think it's a perfect fit, and I look forward to what we can accomplish next year, man.
Thank you very much, sir. That's very appreciative of that, and thank you for letting me be part of that MMA-Insider. So, for Mr. John Moorehouse, for MMA-Insider, and Chaz Bryant with Carolina Warrior TV, get out there and vote, and thanks for watching this video on the nominees for 2014 MMA-Insider MMA Award Show Special. I guess we got to come up with a catchy title next time.
You got to hold your figure it out.
The fighting. Thank you, everybody.